Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for the Tomorrow People Season 1, Episode 12, Sitting Ducks. And this was definitely one of the strongest episodes of the show so far, and I think that is because we found out a lot in this episode, especially towards the end of the episode. I'm really interested in seeing what's going to happen, and I definitely think they're getting better. Some people are complaining that the show, is that the characters are dumb and boring and everything. But I don't think that's true at all. Some people are saying it's getting dumber and dumber. I don't think it's getting that dumb. I think it's definitely less dumb than it was. Like, for example, there are a lot of characters who are getting less dumb than they were. Like, for example, Steven was not a very compelling protagonist, but in this episode, we finally have a reason to root for him. We finally do, and I really love that about his character. I really did enjoy that, and I think that definitely his character is, it's getting better. It's getting a lot stronger, and I enjoyed that a lot about this episode. So, there's a lot going on in this episode. We started off with us seeing Astrid. We don't know why she's there. All we know is that Ultra tricked her into thinking she's auditioning for the school's musical. She's there, and she actually sees Ultra, and she's very confused on what's happening. They start shooting at her, and then we go to 48 hours later. We see Steven training with, I believe, I don't remember who he's training with, but we see him training with someone, and then we see him and Astrid. Now, Astrid at this point knows nothing about Ultra. Steven has not told her about Ultra. She knows nothing about them, and Steven's trying to explain to her all about Ultra and everything, and she's still trying to process it all. So I definitely found that interesting, that even though she knows about the Tomorrow People, she does not know about Ultra, and I definitely found that interesting. So Steven finds out that his mother's new boyfriend, that Peter guy who was very suspicious, is going on this trip, and it makes sense because Steven is suspicious of everyone now that he's taking that job at Ultra. So when you're part of a massive government conspiracy that has carte blanche to detain and execute American citizens, you tend to start seeing, everyone as a major threat. So that definitely does make sense. I definitely think that makes sense, and I do enjoy that. So he decides to come along on this trip with his mother and her boyfriend, so that's what he decides to do. And that's what ends up happening. And what happens is he's playing off in the woods with his potential stepfather. By playing in the woods, he is glowering impotently at the older man before throwing him into the river to make sure he doesn't have any powers by drowning him. And what ends up happening is he's there and everything, and it was definitely interesting to see the two of them. For a while, it didn't seem like there was anything wrong with him. So I don't think there really was anything wrong with this character. I think he was just very, very suspicious of him. Because we see him, he's overall a really nice guy. He seems like he'd be a good stepfather to Steven. He seems like, he would definitely, he's very good with giving him good advice and everything. And he also seemed just like a genuine nice person. He didn't seem like anyone who would do anything that bad. But Steven throws him into the river because he doesn't want him to have any powers. So he doesn't want him to have any powers, so that's exactly what it is. He has him throwing him into the river, and that's what ends up happening. So while this is happening, we do see the reason why Astrid is there. Astrid was shot at that whole time, but she was able to actually fend for herself and stay away from all those bullets. So she's okay. But John is actually left to tend to Astrid. John is left to tend for Astrid, and it turns out that Hillary is concerned that Steven's generous sharing of last week's bust is all an act. And as a wholehearted believer in survival of the fittest, she's going to narc on Steven about his pet human and get Steven demoted and Astrid killed. Because as we know, her whole plan is just get Steven demoted. That's what she wants to do. However, as we've seen, everyone at Ultra who isn't Jet is possibly the worst at what he or she does in the entire nation. Hillary in the most obvious way possible. So, she's not good at what she does. Instead, Astrid, she gets on her smartphone, Skypes over to where the Tomorrow People are, begging for Kara to help. Kara, who's using her Acer Windows 8 laptop, you know, that we saw a lot of product placement there. I thought that was, I guess, okay. Astrid then gets performance from some rudimentary abdomen surgery and a gunshot John, who is too weak to teleport them to safety. And that's another way Ultra's incompetent. One guy is door security. There are no extra layers or of security hanging around by the door guide. The door guide is actually out in the open, visible when Kara kicks the crap out of him. Kara sneaks up to where John and Astrid are hiding with no troubles, and they're able to take them away to safety. So, one at a time, John might have gotten shot, but since he's fine, he'll be forgiven next week. Astrid escapes, so it's Tommorow people help when all she really needed to do was hold up her keys, throw them, and run. Which is true, and I do think that Astrid is probably the weakest character on the show. They are giving her more to do, and I do enjoy that about what they're doing. I do like that they are giving Astrid more to do. Because we did find out something about John in this episode. We got to see one of John's friends. There was this guy who was a good friend of John. I don't remember if he owned a comic book store, but they had a really nice bond and everything. But Jedediah ultimately killed him, and John was crushed over this, and we saw all that. And I thought that was good. We didn't really need a flashback in this episode, though. I thought that was the only part of the episode I didn't love. I will say that I think it was probably, that was the one part I did not like. This episode was not as strong as last week's. I will say that. Last week's I thought was a stronger episode. This episode was good, though, but it wasn't as strong. I enjoyed that. What we did get to see, though, was we actually got to see Astrid and John. In my opinion, they had a lot of chemistry in that scene. So, we know Astrid likes Steven, but if it doesn't work with Steven, then go to John. John and Astrid had a lot of chemistry in that scene. I mean, it seemed very, very genuine chemistry, and I really saw that between the two of them. And you know what? I think that's a really good thing that they have a lot of chemistry because, you know, that's what I like, is that John's just a really great character, and I love that about his character. And I really do like that. So, that was really great, and I really enjoyed that a lot. So, yeah, so I really enjoyed that. And then, Steven eventually does come back from the camping trip, because we got to see the camping trip and everything. But he did push Peter down a cliff, which was honestly a bit too dark, even for Steven, but in a sense it works, because we need to remember, Steven's still a teenager, and that's what he does. So it makes sense now. But the one theory or question in the series so far has been whether or not, Steven's talking with Kara and John. He's saying that even he was not that strong. He doesn't think he was strong enough to do that. And he's talking to John and Kara make the assumption that's actually Luca who was the one who did this. And Luca actually is the one that has these powers, and he's much more powerful than Steven. So this opens a lot of possibilities for the show, and you know what? Revealing that Luca is one of the Tommorow people is really great in my opinion, because we have a lot of options for Luca. He could do a lot of things. He could Steven could help become a big brother for him, or Jedediah perhaps might find out and try to get Luca on his side, or maybe Luca will go against both of them altogether, and there'll just be this crazy battle between, the Tommorow people, Ultra, and Luca. I could see that happening, and I definitely think that could happen. What do I ultimately want to happen? I don't know. My only complaint in this episode is that we did not get to see, the little girl, I can't remember her name right now, but that girl from the last episode, oh my god, what was her name? What was her name? You guys know what I'm talking about. I can't think of her name right now, though. Charlotte. We did not get to see Charlotte in this episode. That was my only complaint in this episode. Other than that, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was definitely one of the strongest episodes so far. I thought the flashback was a little bit unnecessary, but it added a nice touch to the show, I guess. I enjoyed that. Definitely interesting. So let me know what you guys think. What is Luca going to do? Is he going to go with the Tommorow people, or is he going to go with Ultra, or is he going to do his own thing altogether? What do you think will happen there? We did hear that he's much more powerful than Steven, because he's the youngest of the most powerful being of all time. So he's probably much more powerful than Steven. So I could see him definitely being the villain. What do you think of Astrid? Do you think they're making her character more interesting? Do you think her and John might start something? I don't know. It seems like her and John, the spark is gone between the two of them. I have not seen any chemistry between those two since, like, I don't know, when they broke up. I have not seen any chemistry between them since then. I would really like John and Astrid together. Do you want that to happen? Do you like that they're kind of giving Astrid more to do? I still think Astrid is the worst character in this show, but I do enjoy her character a little bit more. Do you think they've given Steven more to do? I do agree with that they have given him more to do. That's it for my review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye.